Good evening, everyone. Again, welcome to Revolutionary Resume Next Level. I am Dr. Johnette Ruffner-Caesar, one of two of your CCAS career counselors, and I'm very happy that you all are here tonight to participate in this conversation. My hope is that you will obtain some information that you were unaware of before, and that you will remain engaged. Also, as we move forward, I want you to know that I will leave time at the end of our conversation for questions. I'll leave that to the end, because I want to make sure that I give you all of the information, because it's quite a bit of information that I want to share, and it may take a little bit to digest. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Allow me to share my screen with you. Okay. If you would place in the chat, if you all can see my screen, I want to make sure before we get started. Okay, great. Awesome. All right. So again, welcome to Revolutionary Resume Next Level. Again, I am Dr. Johnette Ruffner-Caesar. I am one member of the CCAS Career Services team. If you participated in the Back to Basics session, you were able to meet my colleague, Erin Ahart. I want to give you just a little background about myself, just so that you know who is before you. In addition to being a career counselor part-time at GW, I also own a career services agency where I primarily support mid to senior level executives. One of the reasons I came to GW is because I wanted the opportunity to share, impact, inform students so that hopefully by the time you all become mid to senior level executives, you won't experience some of the same challenges that some of my private clients experience. And so that really is a huge focus of what we'll be talking about tonight, are ways to not only appeal to hiring managers, but to help you to hopefully avoid, again, some of the professional challenges as it relates to resumes that my private clients encounter. I'm also an adjunct professor, not at GW, but at another institution. And my background prior to entering career services is I have a background in higher education administration and in the education nonprofit space. So I am really happy to be here with you all this evening. So our learning objectives for this evening are to help you to unlock the secrets of crafting an irresistible resume, to receive the secret sauce to capturing the attention of hiring managers, to learn to narrate your professional story in a way that not only excites hiring managers, but also showcases your unique strengths and accomplishments. And so our journey this evening, we are going to focus on 5 areas. I want to talk about how resume writing is a 2-part process. I want to dispel some myths about the resume writing process. I want to support you with creating a meaningful career summary. I want to teach you how to unpack and maximize your professional story, as well as how to analyze and align your resume so that you can be intentional about how you communicate or position yourself to obtain the opportunities that you, or the professional opportunities that you desire. Let me share with you all that before I get into the meat of this presentation, What I am about to share with you may be something you've never heard before. And it's okay that you haven't heard of it before because most resume or professional services experts present resume writing from a fundamentals perspective. Much of the basics that Aaron shared with you last week, if you participated. I am taking the conversation, as in the title, to the next level. And so you may hear some things that you've never heard before. The other part to this is some of what I will share with you. I don't expect you to know how to do this, right? What I am sharing is sort of information to help you to prepare for future employment opportunities. I mean, you can do this now, but you may need some help to do what I'm about to share with you. Okay. So don't get discouraged or frustrated or be afraid. And don't think that you have to do these things right now. The back to basics conversation is really the foundation and the fundamentals of what you can use, maybe where you are now. But if you are ready to go to that next level, or when you're ready to go to the next level, you will have this information. You will already be privy to the information. Okay. All right. So the first part of what I want to share is that resume writing is a two-part process. As I mentioned, most of the focus of resumes is you're focused on the content and the format, right? Is it one page or two pages? And what should I include? What are the headings? That's absolutely important. But the other part to resume writing, there is a mental and emotional component to the process. And what I like to say is that what you think about determines what you believe, and what you believe determines how you feel, and how you feel determines the decisions you will make, including how you construct your resume. And so what I mean by that is if you don't have confidence, if you are afraid, if you don't think you're good enough to obtain certain opportunities, it could adversely impact your resume. And what I mean by that, the way it can show up in many instances is if you, excuse me, I'm sorry, show up in many instances is if you um, are afraid, let's say, you may not be willing to put yourself out there and talk about the things that you led. You may hide behind the fact that you perform certain duties within a group, right? Um, and not to say that you don't include that information, but there's a way that you can speak about yourself and what you contributed to that group, so that you stand out. Another indicator of fear is that maybe you include everything in your resume, even if it isn't relevant, because you think it's important to include as much as possible. And that if you include everything you've ever done in a resume, that it will gain the attention of a hiring manager. And that's not necessarily true, given hiring managers are way more intentional these days as opposed to decades ago, in terms of who and how they look for their next new hire. So mental, emotional component of resume writing is just as important as the fundamentals of formatting, content, font, and wording. Okay. So let's dig a little deeper here. The truth or the secret sauce to resume writing is that it's introspective. It requires you to take a deep look at who you are as a professional to determine what is my professional value or what is my professional brand. When a company hires you, what are they getting, right? What things do you bring to the table? And it not is not just skills, but what other things do you bring to the table? What energy do you bring to the table? And the only way to know that is to be introspective. The only way to know that is to sit with yourself and your resume to really analyze what that is. And so many people just write the resume and they're so focused on appealing to a hiring manager, they never take the time to first appeal to themselves. So if you're writing a resume, do you like it? Right? So it's not just about looking outward, but it's also important to look inward. And by doing that work, you start to build a certain confidence and you start to communicate in a way that excites hiring managers and therefore affording yourself many professional opportunities. And then finally, going through this process of introspection, like I said before, you are identifying and you are beginning to own your professional value and therefore your professional power. So all of this plays a part in not just how you write your resume, but even in the interview. And even when the job is offered to you, your ability or willingness to negotiate a salary. Do you know your worth? Do you know your professional value? And are you able to articulate and demonstrate so that you can obtain the professional opportunities, salary that you feel you deserve? All right. So I want to talk quickly about resume myths. The first myth is that the primary purpose of a resume is to obtain a job. That is one of the purposes. Yes, absolutely. But resumes should be used to obtain opportunity, right? So it's not just a job that you may be looking for, but maybe there are just opportunities related to your field and your interest that you want to pursue. So to limit your resume to just opening doors for jobs is a very limited way to utilize that document. Your resume is powerful if you use it correctly. And so they're not just used to obtain jobs, they can be used to obtain opportunities. Next, the next myth, a resume is only used to highlight your experience and expertise. Your resume, that is true, well, partially true, but the resume is used to highlight, like I said before, your professional value. But the only way that you can utilize that is if, again, you take the time to assess your gifts, talents, and expertise. And sometimes we have certain expertise, we really don't know the value of it. So we devalue it and don't highlight it in the way that we should in order to obtain and pursue the types of opportunities that we are well equipped to pursue. Myth 3, resumes are always written for hiring managers. No, they should be written for you first. You should like your resume. You should be engaged about it. You should be excited about that document before you send it off to a hiring manager. So it's important, again, to do that self-assessment so that you can promote yourself in a way that affords you the opportunities that you desire. And finally, myth 4, resume writing is horrible. I know it can be time consuming and a challenge, but if you believe myth 4, if you think it's horrible, it's because you also believe myths 1 through 3. Resume writing is an opportunity for you to see yourself in a way that you may not have before and enable you to become a confident professional, again, who is equipped, who is confident, who is able to communicate their value in order to obtain the types of professional opportunities that they desire and are requested and wanted, and those that you are well equipped for. Okay, so I hope that portion was helpful. And it helps to set the foundation and lay the stage for some of the more fundamental components of the resume writing process. And the first component is the career summary or the career objective. Again, I know that many of you are still students, and so you may not have a career summary just yet. But when you do and decide to include one, I want to provide you with the formula for how to move forward to craft and create this type of statement. So, a career summary, I like to think about it like an appetizer that you might get out of a restaurant, right? So the appetizer comes before the entree. And if the appetizer is great, the entree, you can look forward to the entree being great. If the appetizer isn't so great, you may not be so excited about the actual entree. The same for a career summary. So if you can create a career summary that is exciting to the reader and that prepares the reader to consume the meat of your resume, they are thrilled because it lets the reader know that you have properly assessed your background enough to be able to provide an overview, a career overview of who you are and what you do and what your specialties are. And that is something that a lot of people don't do or have difficulty doing. And so I want to show you tonight how to create a meaningful resume or career summary. Before I do that, one other thing you should be mindful of is that in your summary, you should only include information that you can back up in the experience section of your resume. So many times individuals will use words like I'm results driven or results oriented, but in the meat of their resume, they never share results. They never show results. So how can you say you're results driven or results oriented? Then it ends up just being fluff and it doesn't mean anything to the person reading the document. So it's very important to make sure that you are intentional about the words you use and that you can back up everything that you say in that summary in the meat of your document. Okay. So here is an example of a not so strong, I won't say weak, even though you see it on the screen, career summary. It says, I am an experienced marketing manager seeking a full-time position in my field where I can apply my knowledge and skills as well as provide each client's needs. That doesn't tell me a lot. It just says you're looking for a job, but it doesn't tell me anything specific about the person who is pursuing this particular opportunity. And so therefore, it doesn't excite me. It looks like every other resume. And a hiring manager, given they spend less than 30 seconds reviewing resumes, they could push that particular document to the side because it doesn't tell me much of anything. In fact, it probably would be better if this person didn't include a career summary and just started the resume with their education at the top, or if you have several years of experience, starting with your experience. Okay, right? So let me show you what a strong summary looks like. And these are real examples. This is an example from one of my private clients, not a student, okay? So after some exploration, we went from this example to this career summary. So we created some or identified some descriptive words: innovative, solutions-based finance professional with expertise, and they identified 3 areas in banking, marketing, and sales. They are consistently recognized for what? Developing acute business strategies, creative content development, and increasing revenues. And they are committed to creating lucrative solutions for businesses. And these are the results. They have generated $5.9 million in new business revenue, success with overseeing an investment and loan portfolio of over 10 million, and the ability to manage a thriving multi-unit advertising franchise. Now, I know that you all are students and you may not have this level of experience. However, I'm sure that you have academic experiences and maybe some professional experiences where you can talk about, you can find a descriptive word to describe you as a professional. You can talk about your areas of expertise or interest, right? You can talk about how people talk about your work, how you're recognized in the workplace. What are you known for, right? You can talk about some of the results of your work, and those would be the things that you've done that you are most proud of. So as you can see, there's a huge difference between this summary and this summary. This is a much more exciting, expressive summary that I think any hiring manager would want to engage with this person through an interview. So here is the formula for creating such a summary. All right. So we start off, I call it the DITR. You use a descriptor, you identify the industry, themes, and result. So for your professional descriptor, again, remember I said at the beginning of this, resume writing isn't just about the fundamentals. It's about doing that introspective work. So identify a word or two that best describes you as a professional. Is it innovative or solutions-based? Is it creative? Uh, Whatever works for you, right? Identify 1 to 2 words that best describes you. And then identify the industry that you are in or would like to pursue. All right. And then we look at professional themes. These are usually three areas, or if it's one area, I know you're just starting off, of expertise that are consistent throughout your professional or academic career. It could be banking, marketing, sales, psychology, etc. And then highlight results of some of the work that you've done. Maybe 1 to 3 of of your most significant work. Again, things that you are proud of as it relates to your theme. So if you're in the finance industry or pursuing a role in the finance industry, and you had an internship at a prestigious banking institution, and maybe there was something you did there that helped the organization move forward, or you were applauded or recognized for doing that work, or you learned something significant from that experience. Those are the results that you can put in your career summary, again, to make it exciting for your reader, that will hopefully move you to an interview and then on to an actual role at the institution that of your interest. Okay. The next component to this is telling your story. And what I mean is how you communicate the duties you have performed in the roles that you have obtained, be it a job or an internship or volunteer experience. And the reason that we tell a story is because people remember stories, not job duties. And let me elaborate a bit. Many resumes are written almost like a cut and paste, right? Or a copy and paste, where you are looking at the description from your internship or externship, and you just copied from that and you placed it in your resume. That's just a job duty, but you haven't elaborated on that. So if you said, I led the ABC group, well, that's a duty. But if you elaborate and you talk about you led the ABC group, what the ABC group was designed to do, and the results or the intended results of leading the ABC group. Now I'm telling a story. Now I've provided a narrative that the reader can be excited about. So again, it shows the reader that you are a compelling candidate. It gives the reader an understanding of your personal brand and unique value. It tells the reader why you should get the interview. It highlights your relevant skills, tasks, and actions. And it highlights the experiences that relate to the role that you are pursuing. It lets them know, or it highlights what's helpful for them to know, so that they know and can clearly see that you are a excellent candidate for the opportunity. It allows you to use their language to show your accomplishments. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a few minutes. And it allows you to ask yourself, so what, right? Meaning, are you telling the full story about your work and accomplishments? So if I just put, I led the ABC group, okay, so what? Elaborate on that so that you are sharing the full scope and depth of your background and experiences. Okay. So here, I'm sure many of you have heard of the STAR technique. And STAR stands for skills, tasks, action, and results. And so to lay out the duties that you have performed, you first want to ask yourself, what skill or strength did I demonstrate in this specific situation? Did I organize? Did I lead? Did I create? Did I build? And then you want to add to that, was there a specific task related to that position where you developed a procedure or supported a researcher? And then added to that, what actions did you take? What actions did you take within the role? You created a method or instructed a class, and then what were the results or the intended results? Did you build a winning model, or made your office more sustainable, for example? Another way, STAR is the standard formula that we use. I like to use another formula, asking yourself 3 questions. What did I do? How did I do it? And what were the results or the intended results? So it's one quick model that you can use. And even as you look at your resume now and review it, just take a look at the duties that you have shared in your resume and ask yourself, does it follow the STAR model? And if you don't have all of the components, it's fine. But try to get as close to it as possible. And you may say, well, Dr. Caesar, what if I don't know the results of the work that I did? You may not, right? But you should have some idea of why you were doing the work. So then that would be the intended results of the work that you were performing. And it's okay to structure the duties of the roles that you have possessed using what the intention was, even if you did not or do not have the specific results of that particular duty. Okay, so here are a couple of examples here of exactly how to use the STAR method. So let's just say on the left-hand side, you know that one of your primary responsibilities as a marketing intern was to develop a content calendar for the company's new campaign to promote their website. One of the other ways that you can say that is developed an 8-week. So we've made it more specific, content calendar. Doing what? Focused on the company's strategic social media plan. What was the result? The website traffic increased by 12%. Right? Task. My goal was to create a long-term strategy as well as a 6-week content calendar with 8 to 10 week posts that could be used on social media. Using the STAR method, we could say that same thing differently: collected creative content under the direction of the marketing team to promote the company's campaign that encouraged a re-evaluation of the brand. So I don't want to read all of these, but I'm just giving you examples of how you can reword the duties that you've performed using the STAR method. The other thing I want to highlight here is using strong verbs: developed, collected, created, researched. And the reason we use strong verbs is to demonstrate leadership, is to demonstrate confidence, right? And not that, you just, not just, but you have the ability to own and move forward in the duties that are under your purview or responsibility. Okay. The next thing that I want you to be aware of is analyzing and aligning your resume to the job descriptions of the roles that interest you. Okay. The best resumes are those that are intentional and aligned with the opportunities that you're seeking. And it takes a level of, again, intention to read job descriptions carefully, right? You want to review them to identify key skills, tasks, and actions. And once you've done that, you want to look at your resume compared to the job description and ask yourself, how have I used these skills? Does my resume articulate how I've used the skills, the tasks, the actions that are requested or required in the role that I am seeking? You also want to say, what related experiences do I have, right? So are they school projects? It may not be work, right? It could be academic projects. It could be volunteering. It could be participation at a conference or a class that you took. How do these things help to communicate that I am the best candidate for the roles that you are seeking? And be sure to use keywords from the job announcement. And in a second, I'm going to show you what I mean. But I will say, as it relates to keywords, don't go crazy, right? There are some people who really stress over adding all of the keywords. But what happens when you do that to an extreme is that you lose the essence of your voice, the essence of your own experience, because you're so focused on including these keywords that you're missing on really sharing your story, your narrative, your experience in your own way. So let's take a look at a job announcement, okay? Just a description. And this is the Bates White Economic Consulting Firm. And this firm, they specialize in providing advanced economic, financial, and econometric analysis to law firms, companies, and government agencies. So this first sentence lets us know what Bates White is looking for, right? They're looking for people who can support them in advanced economic, financial, and econometric analysis. People who are interested or have some background with law firms, companies, and government agencies. Okay, so it's reading very carefully, and by knowing that, you can say to yourself, okay, I align or I don't align with this particular opportunity. It also talks about delivering top-notch consulting and expert analysis. And an expert analysis. So you know that this is a high-functioning, high-delivering organization, probably fast-paced organization that is looking for you to deliver as well. And so to determine if you helps you determine if you are a good fit. Some other indicators, this company, and not a lot of corporate organizations use language like this, but they talk about being passionate problem solvers. So they would want you to be a passionate problem solver. They're clear communicators. They have strong principles, dynamic approaches. So when they interview you or read your resume, they're looking for the same things. And you could use some of these same words: passionate, problem solver, communicator, dynamic approaches in your resume, because you're using their exact same language. These are keywords, some of the keywords that we could use to help to promote our cause and to communicate that you are the right person for the job. So let's look at the consultant role, okay? And I want to share with you that I'm not going to read this, but the highlighted words, the words highlighted in red, are verbs. These are skills that you would want to be mindful of. Consultants work on teams to develop rigorous economic and financial analysis, right? So looking at these words are some of the same words that you can use in your resume. Again, develop, contribute, review, draft, conduct, create, can really be very, very powerful for you as you move forward, not just for a role like this, but any role. These are great verbs to use to communicate your leadership. Okay. Let's see here. So if we go to the words underlined in blue, these things are your skills. Do you have skills in economic and financial analysis and reports? Do you have skills in industry research, deposition testimony, helping create client presentations? So again, all indicators of how you can analyze the job description, but align your resume with the description. And you may not have everything they're asking for, but make sure, even before you spend the time to apply for a role, asking yourself, do I have the skills? Do I have what they are seeking? And then you can determine if you want to move forward to apply for this role. And then you can tweak your resume further to ensure that you're speaking the same language. And then the words in gold, they are extra clues to the employer's language. These are also things that you should know and consider. So they're looking for rigorous, right? They develop rigorous economic financial analysis. Folks work in a collaborative environment. If you don't like to be in a collaborative environment, maybe this is not the organization for you, right? You work closely with consultants. You use technical skills like Stata and R and Spark and Python. Writing skills, very important. Research, critical thinking, all important. So these are all clues to help you to determine how to craft your resume. First of all, do you want to apply? How to craft your resume. And it also gives you some clues or indicators of keywords that you can use in your document. And so the more you, again, align your resume with the roles that you are seeking, the more likely you are to position yourself for a future conversation or a conversation through an interview. Okay. Okay. So you all, I know that was a lot of information, and we have about 15 or 20 minutes left in the conversation. So what I'd like to do is to open the floor to entertain any questions or comments. I would really like to hear, if there aren't any questions, would love to hear if this was helpful, or if some of this was new information, or ways of thinking about the resume that you had not considered before. So I will open the floor for anyone to put in the chat or to unmute yourself to ask your question. Anyone? Okay. Was this helpful? Let me stop share here. Okay, now I see you. Okay, terrific, terrific. So yes, I found the mental component interesting. Yes, very helpful. Thank you so much. And so, Ruzan, you asked about should we use synonyms? You can use synonyms. Absolutely, absolutely. Is there anyone that would find doing this difficult? Any aspect of this difficult? And while you respond, I will read Anika. So much of this was new to me, but made so much sense. Great. I have so many ideas. I'm actually excited to work on my recipe. Exactly. Exactly, Anika. That is a part of why I wanted to do this session, because not enough people are excited about their professional trajectory, their professional experiences. They see resume writing as a bore and a laborious task. It doesn't have to be that at all, right? And so if you're excited, then hiring managers get excited. And then you can go into interviews and be excited. And so I think, excitement is contagious. And so it's a good thing for you all the way around. And if you can and are willing to adopt the mindset that I am suggesting, it is going to carry you a long way. And it will help again to build your confidence so that you can boldly, even though you may have some jitters somewhere along the way, you can boldly pursue the roles that you want. You can boldly go into interviews. You can boldly approach representatives at career fairs, right? You can boldly walk into networking events to talk about your background. And that's because you've assessed yourself, you've assessed the opportunities that you're pursuing. You've done the work to align yourself with those opportunities, which gives you a solid foundation for moving forward in your professional career. Okay. All right. So let me share my screen one more time so that you can see my contact information. If you have any questions or concerns you want to follow up, we offer one-to-one career advising. They're usually 45 minutes in length, and we are here to talk with you, about anything career related. Doesn't have to be resumes and cover letters. It could be trying to decide what you want to do in a profession. It could be you're majoring in one thing and now you've decided you want to do something completely different, to really help you to talk through that, because we truly want you to succeed. The other part is that please join us for our other career readiness workshops. Our next one is on cover letters, how a cover letter is like a love letter. And so I hope you will come back and enjoy that as well. And finally, before we go, I want to encourage you that yes, we are here for you, but please know and understand that we are generalists. We are not specialists in your specific field. Therefore, it's important for you to make connections with your professors in your department. They are the specialists. And it may not be asking them specifically on how to craft your resume, but they can be very helpful in terms of helping you to determine your career path. And you could go to them and say, Professor Smith, I find your background very interesting because you've done some research, and I would love to talk with you about your career path. And that who doesn't want to talk about themselves, right? So you're not only establishing a relationship slash networking, you are obtaining information, helpful information that can help you to move forward in your industry. So please, 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 if you haven't started doing that, please make an appointment during office hours. Doesn't have to be all of your professors, but again, do some research and see who most aligns with what you want to do, or maybe it's your favorite professor, because the other part to this that will help you excuse me, help you with your job search. Don't limit your job search just to finding jobs on a job board. Use your network like your faculty members, because if you're talking with them about what you want to do, you're now front of mind for when they come across opportunities, and they may say, oh, wow, I just had a conversation with Michelle and Tiffany and Jamie. And so maybe they would be interested in this particular opportunity. So it pays off to have these meetings, have these conversations so that others can be working on your behalf. Again, I can't stress doing this early. If you're already at the end of your program, it's not too late. But definitely, if you're at the beginning of your program, don't wait until the end. Why? Because it takes time to find a job. 6 months to a year and a half. It takes time to find a job, particularly if you are going to remain in the DC, Maryland, and Virginia area, and you are in a competitive industry. So it's very, very, very important. I see one question regarding the career summary. Should we put it on the resume on top of everything? Yes. So it's your name, contact information, and then the career summary. And you don't have to label it career summary. It is understood by the hiring manager what that statement is. And it should only be maximum of 4 sentences, and never write in first person. It shouldn't say, I am an innovative, finance expert. Just say innovative, expert, or whatever it is you want to say, to communicate your background. And no, it shouldn't be a separate document. It's all a part of the resume, all a part of the resume. Okay. How do I sign up for the cover letter session? We will send this recording along with a link to the listing of the events that are coming up. So you will be able to see that. And actually, if you, hold on one second. If you'll send me your email address, I can capture it and send that listing directly to you. I'm not sure how you all learned about this particular session, but if you found it off of our event section on the career services page, you'll be able to, perfect. You'll be able to join the same way. Okay. Very good. Well, are there any additional questions, comments, concerns? Any additional questions, comments, or concerns? If not, I will close the session. Ruzan, thank you so much for your kind words, and everyone else who enjoyed the conversation. I will hang here for a minute if anyone needs or wants to stay behind. But otherwise, I'm so glad you enjoyed yourself, and you all have a great evening.